Okay, hello everyone. So we will create something like this. Where is it? Here it is. So we are talking about how to create this hat. Okay, so I will jump into ZBrush, open up the demo head just to have a reference. Quickly at hand, a perspective should be turned off, and maybe the material, the basic material. And we need the draw palette, put it on here, and we want to use a reference image, so import the mushroom go reference image, and now it's placed right behind us. I don't think it's perfectly symmetrical. The bottom plane should be turned off. It's a little bit disturbing, so here's this Y icon. I can turn this off. Now I only see the reference image. You can scale the head, or in this case I think it's a little bit better if we are scaling the figure. Vertical offset, yes, so it's somewhere here, and we have kind of a horizontal offset, so it's aligned a little bit better. Okay, here we go, and now the model is see-through, so we are in fill mode 3. That means we can easily trace the drawing behind that. Right now, let's switch back to fill mode 2 and start with a new subtool. And that I will use the default sphere, or maybe just a sphere will be used to create this rim of the hat. So before I do that, I will check what is the actual resolution for that rim. So maybe even in an independent file, so I can switch back and forth between these files. Now let me go to the sphere and use scale R and scale it up and maybe move. Okay. So yeah, probably some more resolution could be advised. So initialize, H divides, V divide should be a little bit more. Yeah, if we want to make more squarish looking polygons. Not this much, but maybe 200-ish. This is okay. Alright, now I can make it a polymesh 3D. Go back to the head of the enemy head, go to subtool, and insert this PM3D sphere. So PM3D because it's polymesh. So this is how I know that this should be imported here. W, and now resize it, and resize it even further. So increase the size. There's no symmetry mode turned on, so I'm really careful not moving this sphere left to right. Okay, I think this arc should look good. Okay. Now pressing Q, Control and Shift, and that is select rectangle. I can select the top up, sorry. This little preview gizmo was a little bit in the way. So Control and Shift and select the, okay, it's not enough. If I want to grow my selection, I can actually easily do that by using Control, Shift, and S. That's shrinking, X is growing. So Ctrl Shift and X, and I'm growing with the selection. This is a neat little trick that you can use. Alright, so this is actually the part I want to keep, but there's the rest of the sphere that is actually hidden. Now to remove that, we can go to geometry, and there's no subdivision levels. This is only the basic sphere, so there's no different resolutions. So I can go into modify topology and delete hidden, and now nothing is there. And to add some thickness, there is a temporary solution for that. By the way, we can accept it anytime, but for now it will be just temporary. If I press D, it will ask, do you want to use dynamic subdivision? This is a dynamic subdivision or not? I will say yes, not always yes, because it doesn't matter if you see it more often at the beginning. It's not really a big issue. At least you will get used to this when you are using it, so keep that in mind. So I will say yes. Now there's only one thing happened. It is subdivided it further. with 2 levels. But the thing we are doing this is not exactly subdivision. The thing is thickness. So let me increase the thickness, right? And yeah, we can offset this thickness if we wish to the inside or outside. But right now, I'm really good with this one. I like it. And later on, I will do the subdivision myself by pressing Ctrl D later on. But right now, it's just, you can turn this on and off and have a glimpse on what's happening. All right, so that is about this part. Now, what about the hat part? So, like a top. We should start with we can try a cone and see what's going on with the cone. Actually, go to initialize, and you know what? I will move this image, because if I move this part, if I move this up, whenever I'm adjusting the value, it will switch position. So just to keep things relatively sane, I will use a vertical offset, adjust that, and use the fill mode. And now I don't have to worry about too much this overall length and position change issues. So I can play with the values I like to use here. So this 100 size, that's the horizontal and other type of size, so that will be 70. And this may be, it should be the same. If not, your model will look like this. Okay, it will be flattened or oval. Okay, that's how we go. H divide, that's the horizontal divide. If we increase it, what's happening? Oh yeah, I was talking about this and accidentally moved it. So let me adjust this thing. All right. Actually, I like this resolution pretty much. It's not perfect relative to the overall tracing part, but we will be able to do that later on. Okay, so I will just go back, make Polymesh 3D, and now we have this nice color, always remember. And I will not rename it, but if you see, we have a number 2 that tells us that we have 2 subtools. And before we are going crazy, we just, let me go back with a vertical offset and land it back somewhere closer, and insert the fresh PM3D cone, switch to move mode, lift this up, and actually scale a little bit. So elongation, yeah, it needs to be a little bit longer, not much, but a bit. And yes, of course, we want to change the diameter here and there. Now, how to do it? I will go to the gear icon and choose deformer. And for deformer, we can adjust this. By the way, now we have too many points around, so I will try to reduce that number of points by eliminating these. So the center, the closer center cones, those were used. All right, so we can adjust the number of these control points. Those not needed, but here I want more, right? Because this should be adjusted and that as well. And I think I'm done with this, but let me go to the front viewport and using Control and dragging. But here, this is Mask Pan. And Mask Pan is not really the best option for masking points regarding to control points, because if you are angled in the 3D space, it's a rectangle, so it's hard to manage. So hold on Control, go to Mask Pan, and look for Mask Lasso. Mask Lasso is much more versatile stuff. And the good news, if you're holding down just Control and drag, nothing is selected. Control and Alt, and highlight an area, and that will select the points. So Control drag, Control Alt, select something. If you want to add, you can use Control Alt and add to your selection. If you want to remove, Control and remove those from the selection. Control drag will clear your selection, and Control Alt will draw your points. Okay, so now we have those. And actually, it's not the exact level I'm looking for. Control Alt in the middle level, and going inside. And be careful, you have to precisely catch this dead center of the gizmo and resize it. Now, yes, enlarge it a little bit more. If I want to alter this overall, I can do it. It's pretty much fun. It is pretty much fun. It's great. It's looking nice. Drag maybe this bottom part. Selecting it's a little bit lower, and maybe this one. Adding more volume. Alright, and push it towards the bottom. Okay, now I like it. So if we want to accept it, we just have to hit the gear icon and go accept, and we are good to go. Now these are two separate models. This model with the subdivision, this is how it looks. So if we want to work on these two as one unit, we can actually weld them together. All right, so that's what we will be doing first. Just a second. Maybe if I lower it slightly, that gap will remove that fill that was. So now we have a proper intersection of these. Okay, so how to weld the two together? It's basically nothing crazy. What we'll do, I will turn off the hat, so no visible item like the hat. This is the top one, this is the bottom one. The order doesn't matter, but actually I'm just to keep it in order, I will place it at the top. And we have two icons here. Not two, more actually. This is union, so let me use a magnifier. So this is union, this is subtract, and this is the overlap area. Now, if this is its union, and if this is its union, that means when we are applying live Boolean, at the end of a Boolean operation, it will combine it into one single object, and it will remove any internal parts of it. So it will become a single one, like welded, cut and welded. And to do that, visibility is one thing, layer order is one thing. These icons should be turned on. So now if I'm turning this off, for example, it cuts off from that. But I want to keep it as a union. Live Boolean is there, and Boolean operation make Boolean mesh. And what does it mean? We have a new Boolean mesh. This is called UMesh, right? So I'll turn off the visibility of these, selecting the head, making that active, turn off live Boolean. I don't want to create a live Boolean now. And we'll use insert to load the mesh. Where is it? It's the end of the line, so this is usually the last one. So UMesh, and boom, we have this mesh. Now, this is pretty cool to have it. And if you want to sculpt, and if you want to make it even, you know why? The problem is this large points here. These are not that large, so if we want to make them even, we have to make it work. Alright, I made a mistake because of just let me delete this guy and redo it, because this item, the thickness is still in virtual mode. So what we have to do to go geometry, applying that, and now use live Boolean and visibility. Now make it Boolean mesh, so we have now a second model. Okay, so visibility, and where we are, here's the new UMesh, I guess. Here's the new UMesh. Alright, that will be the new UMesh. You can see, now we have the thickness playing in a game. Okay, let me rename it. Hat. And go back to the PM3D model where we have the hat, turn off the visibility of these, and use insert and call the hat model. Let me reduce fill mode, and this is the hat model we are looking for. We can sculpt on this, or if you want to make it perfect for sculpting, we can actually duplicate this guy And you know the trick, we can remesh it, like ZRemesher. And because it's symmetrical, we turn on X, and geometry, ZRemesher, ZRemesher 5 is fairly high. Maybe set it to 3 and hit ZRemesher and look for the result. So now it's quite even stuff. We have visibility of the original hat. So this is the new hat. And we can actually use plenty of sculpting tools. Let me use Shift. And we can use like draw mode. We can use transform, drag it. And we have symmetry radial along the y-axis. And if I turn on back on here, I can smooth it out. Maybe the 8 is low, 32, that would be high enough. That's actually just too high, 16. Hit enter and just smooth it out. Okay, so we can work it this way. I can press Ctrl D, and that was subdivided further. And now we can just play with the smoothing, or if we want to add some crazy patterns or whatever, we can do so. Alright, so that's how it goes. Now, if you want to create something that's not that typically symmetrical thing, like machine, you can alter the settings. Of course, you can turn off this whole symmetry thing, and then you just start sculpting and make this thing interesting. Now, let me smooth the top. That actually generates, so we have some errors here. This type of error, so if I'm pressing X, this type of error could be eliminated a little bit when we are using Shift key and start smoothing and then letting go Shift key, and then it is much softer. So this is how it works. Start smooth, holding down Shift, start smoothing, and then releasing Shift key, and that's a different smoothing algorithm. Alright, we are not really worried about this tip because we will not going crazy about this. Of course, you can pull this out with a move brush or snake hook brush. That's up to you. Okay, now how to make those ribbons here on that ribbon? We can use mask. Let me turn off symmetry, X, hold down Control. But mask lasso is not really the best thing, because you want to make it straight cut here. So mask, using mask pen. And you know, mask pen by default it paints on the model, but if you are outside the model and start dragging it out, it will generate this kind of masking fleck. So if you're holding down Control and holding down Shift, you can move this. If you're releasing Shift, you can adjust, move, holding down, not Shift, spacebar. And then I can just release. And here we have this mask part. Actually, it's too thick, so I'll use Control and Alt, drag, and remove. And the reason we did this is because we want to create an extraction. Let me go into 3D mode and hit Extract. And the smoothness of this extract is not enough, so I will increase the smoothness. Just a second, increase it, extract again. Increase it, extract again. If I want to go crazy smooth, I should turn off this mode. So now it's it's just way too much. So this is a much smoother version of this ribbon when the circle is not a closed full circle. Okay. If you like some imperfections, you can choose the standard one. I will accept this. Now, good thing to know that if you are creating this, don't forget that the mask is living, so you still have a masked thing. So I'm controlling and dragging, and the typical thing that happens if you forgot about this mask issue, let me turn off the visibility of this ribbon. You have a mask on your original model too. It was not removed. Why? You have just pressed extract and accepted it. It's not automatically removing the mask itself. So you have to go there, control and drag. And you know, this is a little bit tricky because when you have extract visible, you don't see it. You don't see it under the selection that there is a mask that stops you to work in some cases. Alright, so we have the head, we have the hat. We can work on the hat. We have the ribbon. We can actually smooth out the ribbon a little bit to make it happen. We can actually sometimes, this is not the best for sculpting. If you want to have a better sculpting mesh, you can use ZBrush. Just don't go crazy, set it to 1, and symmetry must be usually turned on. Turn off radial symmetry and make it left to right symmetrical, and hit ZBrush. And I haven't made a double on this, but if you want to keep it, if you want to make it sure that nothing is destroyed, you can make a double. And now I can go back, choose radial symmetry along the y-axis, radial count is there, and use smoothing, for example, to work on the ribbon. Or if we want to create a fold, we can start creating that fold by emphasizing the thing. The resolution is fairly low, so I will just press Ctrl D to increase the resolution, maybe even more, and then you can create that ribbon or any pattern practically there. Alright, because we have a kind of a belt clip or clip in general, I will use a different technique, but that's a sneak peek on what you can achieve by using Activate Symmetry and Radial Count. I will turn off the radial count and choose X. Mirror is turned on because I want to create a belt buckle or something like that. And there's many ways to do it. One is better, the other is not. So honestly, one way to do it is going and open up a new model, a new plane. Shift F. The plane resolution is fairly low, but we can try to do it. We can try to deal with that. One thing is if you can actually play with the resolution, so you can go into initialize and you reduce this further. Like, okay, just let me go crazy. So what you need, maybe 20 and 20. Okay, here, that's good. Okay, so I will make it a polymesh 3D and choose one thing, Control and Shift. So that's the select. So I want to select, for example, 3 by, it's 2, so I will select this, like 6 by 6 and by 9. Okay, so probably something like this. So I'm selecting this one and removing from this selection from the center. So that is my choice. If we want to make it bigger, we can actually grow this. It's up to you. You can find always a center line solution for that. Maybe I will remove more from here. Control Shift and Alt. Red one, hiding away. Okay, that's it. I like it better. It fits better. So what I want to keep just this frame and go to Subtool and practically sort geometry, modify topology, and delete hidden. So now it's not visible at all. We can go to Dynamic Subdivision, turn on Dynamic. It will generate this kind of a softened up version, but we don't want to smooth subdivide this way. And we have an issue that we want to address, that we have a crease around the edges. Now, if you see those double things, let me show that. So here we have some single edges, but here we have those double dotted little things, and that is called a crease. So we can go to geometry. Where are you, crease? And we can go to uncrease. And now we have this uncrease geometry. And then we can go to Dynamic Subdivision and add thickness. So how this thickness works, let me see it. Okay, this is fair enough. And I can try to add this smooth subdivision as well. So now we have some kind of a subdivision too. Okay, that would be fine. So yeah, that's it for now. And apply. So here we go. And if we want to sculpt on it, we can get a little resolution. Ctrl D may make it very soft. If it's okay for you, then you're good. If not, you can actually use ZBrush again and work on it. Now it's not that symmetrical, so we have to move it to the center. To move it easily, now the gizmo is not in the center of the model. So how to manage that? You have to hold down the Alt key, and there's this tiny icon. This is a position icon, so you can click on it, and then it snaps to the center of your model, which one is really good. And we have this buckle. Okay, so let me rename this buckle. And good, well, good. Well, now we're just going back to the original model, which we're looking for the number, you know, all the time. When you see more number, usually that's your main model. And insert the buckle guy here. Go to move mode, zoom out, and adjust it. Extract is not visible, and it's way too big, so I'll scale it down and snap it here. Okay, it's not perfect, but fairly good. Right, now how to do the bottom of it, how to play with the bottom part. We can actually create this kind of a mushroomy sculpted thing, but we have to have a sculptable mesh. Now cylinders and spheres are not all the time good for this, because let me show this. So if we have a model like this, usually these are radial things, and it's not good for all the type of sculpting. So let me show you an example what to do. I will start from a plane, and this plane I will alter the initialize options. So the edge divide will be a little bit bigger, higher, 100 by 100. Okay, you can see it's fairly dense. It's not crazy dense, but it's fairly dense. And I will make it a polymesh model to make it sculptable, and right away I will rename it to high plane. Okay, so high resolution plane. Basically, now we're going back to the main model. That's number 7. This is my hint. Going back, insert, and calling this high plane in the game. Switch to move mode W for rotating around, and I will rotate it holding down shift. So now it's at the bottom. Let me switch to the bottom view. Alright, go to scale and scale it up until it somewhat covers the hat area. Cool. Now, so what is the goal? The goal is it's visible only from one side for because of technical reasons. So the main reason is what we want to do is the main trick is we want to get rid of the unwanted areas. So let me make it fit. And to do that, we will use masking. So I'm holding down Control, and the mask we are using is the mask, this rectangular stuff, which was not good for masking the circle. So what I will do is, here's the gizmo, which looks good, and I will switch to mask circle, but we have another version, mask perfect circle. Okay, mask perfect circle. And going in the dead center, holding down Control, and start dragging it out. In draw mode Q, and start dragging it out. And don't forget, you can hold down spacebar and move it. So if you're not in the middle, you can always hold down spacebar and don't release Control. Okay, just release spacebar. If you want to make an adjustment, then hold it down, move it in position, and then release, let it go. And now we have a nice highlighted area that we want to work with. So that's the masked area. Now within Subtool we have split command. Split will divide an existing model. And here split will go with split masked points. And it's like a stencil, it's like a cutout. Right, so we have now two models. One is this high plane, that's actually the rest of it, and here we have this circle. The high plane is not needed anymore, so I will delete the first one. These are the clipped areas, so I'll just delete it. It's just confusing us. We don't need actually the original hat. The ZBrush hat is needed. So if you want, you can play with the order. For example, selecting this guy, moving it to the top, rename it properly like hat complete. So if you make it tidy, it will be much easier in the long run. But for now, let me just hijack it and move along with this. All right, I don't like this jagged area. So what to do? We can go down, go to deformation, and we have polish by groups. This is just a single one group. So if I'm starting to dragging this, it will smooth out the edges. It will not make it perfect, but it will make it workable. And even better, if you turn this off, again, there's this little circle, and if you press in that circle, now it's using a different algorithm, and we can use polish by groups, and it will be a little bit harder, right? So let me go W and lift this up until it fits into the cavity of the cap. All right. Actually, if you want to make it bend, for example, you want to make it an arc, you can go to the deformer and use the deformer. We don't need any points there. We need only 1 point there and 1 point there. All right. So that's where we go. Selecting only controlled, only the center. This is the mask circle, but it will do fine now. And go to, back again. Go to, and pull this up. I don't know if it's visible because it's the bottom. Can you see? I'm just pulling this point up. And there we can make a correction around because the surroundings are a little bit lumpy there. So by that way, okay. So we can make, right now I would just leave it as it is. Instead of using it, I will leave it as it is and do it another way, and I will explain it. It will be easier for you. So let me go to delete. I don't want to use the modifier. And using radial symmetry instead. So activate symmetry, draw mode, radial, X, instead of that, that's Y axis, which was good. Number 32 or 16 or whatever, which was good. And the standard brush is okay. Maybe some resolution could be advised. So I will use Control D, and I can use Alt and press it in if I wish. All right, and smooth. So now we have this little bit of a setback and masking. Okay. Let me undo this. There we are. Okay, I was accidentally selecting something else. Let me go to the subtool. Where's our high plane? Here's our high plane. Now it's working. Yeah, okay. Smooth this out. If the brush is too strong, you can always go back and reduce intensity. And now the opposite. So the pattern we're looking for. And if you wish, you can actually create an angled one. Let me go dial this back up a little bit and start drawing like this. Back and forth a couple of times, maybe smoothing out. Alright, so it's up to you. You can use a stronger brush, whatever. Maybe we can use a BMV brush, that smooth brush, and using the Alt key to pull out this a little bit more. And if you want to create some various angles, you can actually play and turn off symmetry in general and play and do what you're looking for. Okay, now here's the overall. Of course, you can create a cylinder to make it work at the belt buckle. So or this buckle in general. If you want to create an angle like in the 3D position, probably it's a little bit slanted backwards. So what you need to do is where's the figure? Here's the figure. So here's the hat. I will just press Ctrl A to mask everything, and then select anything like the head itself. So everything is there. Unwanted parts are not visible. The hat part is actually not the best. Is it? Do we have a different model? I guess we have a different model. Yeah. Which one is this? Is the model. Alright, so I can press W, and here's this icon. So if I press this icon, everything that's not masked but visible will be moved. Okay, so we can play with those and change the angle. Alright, so this is how you can generate, basically there are many ways, but this is one way to do it, and we have used plenty of new tools and interesting settings, so you can generate great results just by transforming using the Boolean option, for example. That's really a powerful tool, but you have to learn and keep that in mind that you are using these every time. Okay, thank you very much, and see you next time. Goodbye.